I wish I had taken a picture of the image because it was very German. Like, even though we were in a zoo, which I wouldn't expect all of those things in, they were still there. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Montana and I was an exchange student in Germany, but now I study German at the University of Virginia. And today I have a really fun video for you guys that I've been wanting to film for so long and I've just now gotten to it. And it is comparing zoos in Germany versus the United States. I know this is a very obscure, weird topic. So after my exchange year, I went back to Germany this past summer for about a month in August. And my friend Leon and I went to a zoo in Nuremberg, and that was the first zoo I had ever been to in Germany. And I noted down so many differences because there were just so many different things that I had never seen in an American zoo, and I just thought it was crazy. So a little side note before I start, I've only been to the Nuremberg Zoo. That's what I'm basing all of these comparisons off of. I've been to quite a few number of zoos in the United States, but I've got a few similarities for you guys and then a lot of differences. And my first similarity is ticket price in Germany. I think it was like 16 euros, which is probably $20, and that's about the same as our zoo in Richmond. But we do have a national zoo in DC that I've been to a lot because it's free and it's part of the Smithsonian, but that's definitely an outlier. Like, I think a normal zoo ticket price is around $20, so that's the same in both the US and Germany. But I have gone to a zoo in China, in Beijing, and I think we paid like $5 to get in. So that has nothing to do with this video, but figured I would share the ticket price of zoos in China as well. My first major difference that I thought was so crazy, and this was the first one that I wrote down when I got there, was that in the Nuremberg Zoo, I felt like we were so close to the animals. In the zoos that I've been to here, you're always there's some distance, like there's fences or glass or like, I don't know, there's just like a good amount of distance between you and the animals. And in some of the ones in Nuremberg, I swear I could like grab the monkey or like the little meerkat. Like, we were so close to the animals, I could definitely reach out and touch them. This part is just my assumptions, but I feel like in the United States, there's a lot more like safety precaution because they're worried about kids falling in or like dangerous situations, and then the zoos could get sued and have like lawsuits. I don't know, that's just my speculation, but I was very, very shocked because in Germany we were so much closer to the exhibits, in my opinion. I mean, some of them there's still glass and all that, but I couldn't believe how close we were to some of the animals, and some of the bigger ones too, like maybe it was the buffalo or like cows. I don't think it was cows. I think it was like bulls or something with the big horns. My second difference is that this is gonna sound like a roast, but it's not a roast. It was just that the German zoo was a lot more like nature-y, and like you're one with the animals, and the exhibits are very they're like not as pretty. Like, basically what I'm trying to say is that in the zoos that I've been to like Richmond Zoo, Norfolk Zoo, DC, I've been to a lot in the US. They want them to look good and they want it to be like an eye-capturing attraction, versus in Nuremberg, like, I'm not saying that it was ugly, but it was definitely less aesthetic than in the United States. Like, there was a lot of brown, there was a lot of dirt, but it felt more like natural. It felt a lot more like similar to the animals' environments. There were some exhibits that were just kind of ugly. Like, they could have used some cleaning up. Like, I'm definitely thinking this tiger exhibit in the Nuremberg Zoo where it's like a little dirty. Like, the water could definitely have been rechanged, but that was another main point. It tried less to be super clean cut and pretty, and it was more natural. But not in a bad way. I don't mean that in a bad way at all. Another thing in the German zoo that was crazy to me, this has less to do with zoos. I mean, it does have to do with zoos because it was there. My friend and I stopped on the way in to get like a little icy drink, and they gave us like a plastic cup that had funds. It's basically when you pay like an extra €2, and then when you return your cup, you get the €2 back. That way they can reuse the cups. And I was just like, wow, like walking in and getting a little icy in this like plastic cup that we could return. And this was in August, so like even with COVID and everything, they were still doing that. That was just shocking because in the United States, that would never be a thing. Like, I could never see our zoos doing that. I think that they would do like plastic cups that are like more souvenirs and you can keep them, but these were just plain old plastic cups that we had to pay fine for and then give them back. It was a little bit annoying because the only place to return the cups was at the very beginning of the zoo. So we walked around the entire zoo like holding these bright blue and purple plastic cups, but it was fine and it was better for the environment, so I wasn't mad. It was just very, very German in my opinion. One similarity in German and American zoos is like the gift shops. Same tchotchke little chintzy items like magnets, keychains, so many stuffed animals. I saw lots of little kids with stuffed animals and I really wanted one, but I did not have room in my suitcase, so I did not buy one. I'm not sure if people in Germany say zoo or Tiergarten more, but Tiergarten means animal garden, and that was so funny to me. But they also had the word zoo like all over the place, so I think that's maybe what people say more. If Tiergarten is more used, then please let me know. Back to what I was talking about. What I found so German too is that for all of the food stands, they sold pretzels. Like, they had like a little hook thing with a bunch of German pretzels on it, and it was just funny because I was like, of course they have pretzels. I mean, it is Germany, but pretzels aren't necessarily found in American zoos. Like, I think you could find maybe a soft American pretzel, but don't even get me started on that. American pretzels are not the same as German ones. They're like coated in butter and a lot of times are like cinnamon sugar or salt, and they're not as good. Also on the food track, it was so funny because I saw like people clinking beers and saying Prost in the zoo, and it was so funny because it was like a little beer garden in this zoo. And I think that they sell alcohol at the Richmond Zoo, but I don't know how many people would actually order that. I feel like that's a little, I guess parents, actually maybe my parents would order that, but it was just interesting because there were a lot of people sitting down and eating lunch and drinking with their kids and with pretzels. It just looked, I wish I had taken a picture of the image because it was very German. Like, even though we were in a zoo, which I wouldn't expect all of those things in, they were still there. Something that I noticed was that there was a lot of political signage on like animal protection rights and species that are going extinct, on climate change as well, and how climate change is impacting a lot of the animals either at the zoo. Like, there was a large wall when you're just walking on the path about how climate change is affecting dolphins. My bullet point that I made on my phone, I wrote a lot of Klima Umwelt stuff. So just like environmental signage on trying to encourage people to donate to certain organizations or websites to help like save certain species and just improve people's understanding of what animals are endangered and how our actions as people are harming animals. And that was really interesting because in the Richmond Zoo, you don't see any of that, and in the Washington DC Zoo, which is a national Smithsonian zoo, you also see very little about that. You could definitely find placards and little signs about maybe if a certain animal is going extinct or if the species is endangered, but when I say there was signage, like at the Nuremberg Zoo, there was signage. There were huge banners saying this on the walkways. There was like, what is it called? When you like wrap a wall with all of the information, like there was all of that. So it was definitely impactful, and I took the time to read some of it. Honestly, did not understand a lot of those words because they were hard words written in German, but it was interesting that that was there, and I thought that that was so important because if you're at a zoo, you should learn about that type of stuff and you should know that. But that was also out of the ordinary in comparison to American zoos. It's definitely not the American mindset, unfortunately. Like, we all know that Germany is much more environmentally aware and fighting more for those types of issues, like the average German citizen. So that was really interesting. The last difference is that I felt like there were fewer animals at the Nuremberg Zoo. So there were fewer animals in general in each, like, what is it called? I should have looked up zoo vocabulary before this. Containment? No. I don't know the word. Like, encapturement? that's definitely not a word. I don't know what the word is, but in each like exhibit there were fewer animals inside of it, and then there were fewer animals in general in the whole zoo, like species wise. American zoos, there's so many different types of animals there, and there were still a lot of animals at the Nuremberg Zoo, don't get me wrong. There were plenty of different types of animals to see. We couldn't see them all. So within each little place with the animals there weren't as many out, and I would understand if it was like winter, but we went in August. It wasn't too hot, like it was a very nice day, so I was just surprised at how few animals were actually out. Oh my gosh, but the dolphin show was so good. If you are from Germany, you've got to go to the Nuremberg Zoo just to see those dolphins. It was crazy. If I have the video, I can put it in here, but they were so close. That was another one where we were so close to the dolphins. I could not believe it. Props to like German kids and visitors who just don't try to touch the animals. I think that's another thing. Like if we were close to animals in the United States, like kids would definitely not have the control to not touch them. Like, I don't know. It was just a very German experience in my opinion, and it was really fun. Alright guys, I've been blabbering on, and I think I've said the word zoo about a million times, but I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a little bit about the differences between American and German zoos. If you have any questions or comments, let me know in the comments section down below. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Bis nächstes Mal, bleibt gesund und tschüss!